Right. So, as we show you that, I just want to get everybody caught up. We're kind of timing it out almost like a squall line now. So you can see the different towns that are going to be in this, like Cowley. Seidel's going to get this, if you will, and Scott. He's going to have to deal with that, and maybe even West Lafayette will deal with this. So we'll see how long it holds together. Continues to move ashore, but many cameras out there. We can show you what's going on. Again, the Jennings camera obviously going through the eye wall, the Lake Charles camera, watching the tarps, just one of thousands of these just flapping in the wind here with Charles Peak's camera. Of course, the problems in Abbeville with the storm surge, now at freshwater, 7.9 feet. So that verifies exactly what the Hurricane Center was talking about with the 7 to 11 feet there with that storm surge. So water still holding its own now with that onshore wind and with that southeast wind, even with the center ashore, coming ashore. This will start to go down a little bit as the center and the eye wall starts to move a little bit further to the northeast. So hang in there, guys. We still got a little ways to go here, Mike Bettis, with this thing, but kind of amazing just seeing that northern eye wall ripple onshore, almost more like a squall line, if you will, than something we saw with Laura, which was almost a perfect circular beast coming ashore.
Yeah, this is a little different. We got a pretty ragged eye at this point, and very well put there, Jim. More like a squall line, kind of coming south to north here, and I think it comes across I-10 here over the course of the next hour or so. What could be interesting, Jim, is I think that you, Mike Seidel, Stephanie Abrams, and potentially even Tevin could all simultaneously be in the eye at the same time because it's expanded a little bit here. I'm interested to see if you and Tevin might actually bookend it and maybe potentially be in a deteriorating eye wall while Steph and Mike might be in the eye. But you all have, I think, at least a chance of being in the eye simultaneously, which would be amazing to see four of you all at the same time.
That really would be, Mike. That really would be. And of course, the other thing too is once we all get in that, or that I-10 corridor point south gets into it, that's it with the worst of the weather. Yeah. Because we know the south side of this thing is just completely collapsed, right? Yeah,
it's empty. The wind shear is taking everything off to the north here. Yeah. I'm still a little bit surprised that they're holding on to the 100-mile-per-hour winds, but I think it's going to come down pretty quickly from this point going forward. And I think that if it could have made landfall anywhere in Louisiana, this was as good a spot. Now, and why I say that, Jim, is it basically made landfall in a wildlife refuge. There are a handful of homes down there on Grand Chenier Highway, but if there were going to be a spot, this would be the spot.
Yeah, that's certainly a little bit of a silver lining, Mike, but I think the calling card of this is going to be Lake Charles in the fact that you can trace this all the way back to COVID. They're not making enough shingles. The labor's ready to put them on, but if they're not there, you can't put them on. And so thousands and thousands of these tarps, unfortunately, just kind of sitting there and flapping in the wind. And in some cases, they may have started the indoor part of the project, all right, sheetrock and things like that. Now you've undermined that and have to start from scratch and maybe even have a worse problem because of losing that tarp. So it's going to be really interesting to follow the after story in Lake Charles here. They may be farther behind in spots than they were to start with, I think, even just after Laura.
You kick them while they're down, and it's just not fair. It just truly is not. 6 weeks later, we're going through it all again, and we're looking at the images on the screen there, Jim, and maybe even listen to them a little bit. The winds now starting to rip up a lot of these blue tarps that are on roofs, protecting homes from intrusion of rain, but now they're wet on the outside and the inside, unfortunately. And as Jim was alluding to, we do officially have landfall. Near Creole, Louisiana is Category 2, winds at 100 miles per hour. Pressure's coming up a little bit here, Jim, at 970 millibars. We think it's going to start to degrade here pretty quickly, but overall, the course of action from this point going forward is improvements, okay? We know that we've got still 100-mile-per-hour winds officially, although we haven't seen any winds to that strength measured quite yet, but I would anticipate that we could have a decent amount of wind still to go here before this is done, but mostly here on the northern side. Again, northeast movement at 14 miles per hour. A lot of flash flood warnings are in effect right now, so we've had some places record already half a foot of rain today. Now, here's the key thing. I'm going to point out a couple things. So Tevin Wooten sits in here, Stephanie Abrams right here in Jennings, Mike Seidel's in Scott, Jim Cantor over here in Breaux Bridge. And you can see the outline of the eye is about that. So northeast movement like that could literally put all four of our live meteorologists in the eye simultaneously. The worst of the weather is happening right here around Jennings, and we're getting a pretty decent blast of weather around Scott as well. But let's get you over to Lake Charles. Our Justin Michaels is there this evening. Things rocking and rolling on I-10 tonight. Justin, give us an update there.
Hey, I'll tell you what, right now, conditions are not great here, Mr. Mike. You see are piles of debris. It's hard to imagine that this, Laura, there's certainly going to be a lot to clean up after Delta as well. And just like Jim was talking about, all the work that has already been done, all the insurance claims that have been paid out so people could start the good work of getting their houses back to normal, and now probably having to start over. We've seen the video. We've seen the video of the blue tarps flapping in the wind and people's homes completely exposed because, remember, roofs were ripped off. Those blue tarps were, for some people, roofs, keeping their houses dry, keeping their houses out of the elements. And here now Delta comes in and is blowing a 1-2 punch on this city. Not what they were looking for, and certainly this storm certainly could be a major problem moving forward. Are they going to be worse off after Delta than they were after Laura? It certainly is possible because they were already down. Delta hit them while they were down here because of what happened after Laura. So there's going to be a lot of work to do in this city. I know we're going to be storytelling here over the next several days to keep you engaged in what's going on. Let's go to Steph right now, meteorologist Stephanie Abrams. I'll tell you what, Steph, conditions here in Lake Charles are not great. The power in our hotel here has been coming on and off for the last hour, and we have to believe that's probably going to continue. I know in Louisiana in total right now, more than 81,000 customers without power.
Yeah, shockingly, we still have power at Jennings. I'm not sure how, but we shockingly do. If you've been watching, do you remember me looking and saying, "Oh, there's some debris. Watch out, everybody!" Because I saw something literally flying through the sky, and it seemed as if it was heading towards us. It thankfully stopped before it got to us. But this is it. Do you hear how this is sheet metal? All right, and think about how sharp the end of that is, and what that could do. Just think about how sharp that's flying through the atmosphere. And I'm actually going to move it out of the way here so it's out of the wind so that it doesn't do any damage or hurt anybody else. But all we have to do is go here and you see what a difference the wind is. And I'm actually being a little blocked by the building. Safer, is it okay if we go down to this corner? Is that all right with you? All right, I just wanted to check with my photographer. I want to make sure he's always comfortable with what we're doing and he is able to get the shot and stay safe as well. It's a team. I know that you see our faces on TV, but I got to tell you, it is a massive team effort, not only with our crews in the field, but everyone back at work giving us wind gusts. Look at this wind. This is the worst we've seen, the most consistent, strong wind we've seen right out of the east, right up the street. Takes your breath away. Whew. Sometimes you just got to get your breath. Now, it's been like this. This is the worst of the weather. It's made landfall in Cleo, Louisiana. We will get into the eye. Things will get a lot better. This wind, however, is driving that rain so strong, it stings any exposed skin. And believe it or not, these power lines have been bouncing around, but you can see there's a bank. I'm going to put my back to the wind for just a minute because it stings a bit. You see that bank? The lights are still on. I can see down the street, another building down the street, the lights are still on. Pretty impressive that we have yet to lose power. The visibility, obviously, you can barely see down the street. You know, it is very hard to see with that wind-driven rain. And thankfully for us, it's not going to continue to stay like this for too much longer. But unfortunately, our friends to the north, you will be experiencing what you see here. If you live to our north, this thing is moving north. All of this rain and wind is going north with this system. Now, obviously, as this hurricane interacts with land and we get the friction and the shear kicking in, it's going to slow down the winds. But it takes a minute for hurricanes to wind down. It's nice that we got a little minute there to get a break from some of those strong winds as well. Say it one more time, Kelly. I'm so sorry. It's a little hard to hear. Whew. All right, so what we want you to do is listen to the wind, listen to the rain, and also some of the sheet metal that we hear flapping as well. Whew.
Is that net carbs or total? Not enough fiber. Chocolate would be good.
Snacking should be sweet and simple. The delicious taste of Glucerna gives you the sweetness you crave while helping you manage your blood sugar.
Sugar First. This Cliff Bar's first ingredient is brown rice syrup, another name for sugar. In this new Kind energy bar, it's whole grain oats with 35% less sugar than the leading Cliff Bar. Be kind to yourself.
Always be among the first to arrive and the last to leave, to help show that human nature is greater than nature. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
A woman who was young had COVID-19. I remember her because she had a bracelet that had the names of her children. She asked me, "Doctor, am I going to be okay?" And I could not give her the answer that I wanted to give her. There's no excuse for why we don't have this under control at this point. Joe Biden listens to medical experts. He actually has a plan that does the things that we should have been doing many months ago. And Joe Biden is not going to let his ego get in the way of fighting the disease.
FFPAC's responsible for the content of this ad.
Sensitive skin? Cetaphil Moisturizing Cream with 24-hour moisture lock formula gives continuous soothing relief for dry, sensitive skin. Cetaphil skin is healthy skin.
1 in 2 kids is underhydrated. All new plant-powered Creative Roots gives kids the hydration they need with the fruit flavors they love and 1 gram of sugar. Find new Creative Roots in the kids' juice aisle.
Your mission. Stand up to moderate to severe rheumatoid arthritis and take it on with Rinvoq. Rinvoq, a once-daily pill, can dramatically improve symptoms. Rinvoq helps tame pain, stiffness, swelling, and for some, Rinvoq can even significantly reduce RA fatigue. That's Rinvoq relief. With RA, your overactive immune system attacks your joints. Rinvoq regulates it to help stop the attack.
Rinvoq can lower your ability to fight infections, including tuberculosis. Serious infections and blood clots, sometimes fatal, have occurred, as have certain cancers, including lymphoma. Tell your doctor about any infections, and if you are or may become pregnant while taking Rinvoq.
Take on RA. Talk to your rheumatologist about Rinvoq relief. Rinvoq. Make it your mission. If you can't afford your medicine, AbbVie may be able to help.
The world's changing, and we're changing with it. At FastShipFaceMasks.com, our soft and plush, reusable double-layer face masks come in fun colors and styles, starting at $6.99. With our famous 5-minute checkout and next-day shipping, you can have your masks fast, help slow the spread, and protect your community. Feel the difference and be the difference at FastShipFaceMasks.com.
I sent your new prescription to the pharmacy.
Any idea how much it will cost?
You have a choice. Insurance or GoodRx?
I have insurance.
Insurance is not what it used to be. People struggle to get their prescriptions covered, and prices keep rising. I recommend GoodRx. You get free coupons to save on your prescriptions. Compare prices to find the best discounts.
GoodRx. Smart.
Stop paying too much for your prescriptions. Download the free app today.
You're watching America's most trusted TV news network.
We've got a severe weather threat.
Winds have been gusting the full force of this thing.
The Weather Channel.
So breaking news in the last 20 minutes, Hurricane Delta making landfall near Creole, Louisiana in the northern eyeball right now is meteorologist Stephanie Abrams. For Steph, some of the worst winds are happening for you right now. Some of the intense rainfall rates are happening for you right now. But we think over the next maybe half hour to 40 minutes, you're going to emerge out into the eye where things will go dead calm. We're going to try to reconnect with Stephanie's audio here in just a moment, but she's really in the meat of it right now. We're going to get back to Steph here in just a second. Want to update you on what the situation is in Lake Charles, Louisiana. That's just east of where Stephanie is on I-10. Justin Michaels is there. Justin, again, same thing. We think the worst of the weather happening for you over the course of the next maybe 20 or 30 minutes there in Lake Charles.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, just in the last 5 minutes, there was a 95-mile-per-hour gust reported here in Lake Charles. So that is a beast of a gust, and certainly the damage is being caused across this town. This city was already hard hit by Laura 6 weeks ago. Now we have Delta coming through, undoing all the work that's been done over the last 6 weeks, undoubtedly. We do know also in Moss Bluff, Louisiana, here in Calcasieu Parish, there is flooding in homes, and we have to believe they're probably not the only ones. So what's going to happen for the rest of this evening? The expectation is we could have another hour, maybe as much as 2 hours in the western eye wall of this storm. We're going to continue to have these 75-mile-per-hour plus gusts. We're going to have sustained winds. It's going to be really nasty, and the rain is going to keep coming down for the rest of this evening, probably not tapering off until after midnight. The good news is by the time the sun comes up tomorrow morning, hopefully Delta is going to be off to the northeast, and people are going to be able to get out and begin to reassess the damage to Lake Charles, Louisiana. It's really hard to believe, and people here, as we were talking with them over the last few days about leaving, they were truly scared after what they went through with Laura, and that's why there were so many people, a mass exodus from this city yesterday. In fact, the mayor here, Nick Hunter, he told us yesterday that they believe that they had more people evacuate because of Delta than because of Laura, and they used Laura as a guide, saying, hey, we're not going to live through that again. All right, let's head to meteorologist Stephanie Abrams. I'll tell you what, Steph, we're getting a pretty nasty Delta here in Lake Charles, and I know you are too.
Yeah, we are, and just to our south, in Lake Arthur, they've been gusting to 88, and everything that's happening in Lake Arthur is going to gust up to us here in Jennings. And I want to show you, this was just tumbling down the street, a stop sign, and look, it was ripped from how it was obviously attached to the post. So the wind was strong enough to rip this, and this is heavy, this is sharp, this can do a lot of damage. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep this out of the wind. Here guys, you might have to grab this so I can go back out there. I don't want it to go flying again. Seth, you want to come grab this for me if you don't mind, so I can, I don't want that to go flying and hit anybody. Thanks, Seth, I appreciate it. All right, so let's go back out here. You know, I don't know if Menace is available. I want to talk to Mike if we can, because Mike, this has made landfall in Creole, Louisiana. That is just to the east where Laura made landfall. And I was wondering if we know that distance between the two hurricanes, which is not unprecedented, but it is rare. The last time I feel like we saw landfall this close was 2004, Hurricane Jean and Francis on the Florida East Coast, where they were approximately 2 miles apart from each other.
Steph, I'm going to measure the distance. It's 13 miles,
Thanks.
Approximately 13 miles from Creole to Cameron. So, you know, that's amazing when you think about two significant hurricanes, a Cat 4 and a Cat 2, making landfall within 13 miles of each other. You know, the devastating blow we've taken there in Louisiana, you know, the conditions that you're dealing with today just make it all that much worse for the people trying to recover from the hurricane 6 weeks ago.
It is, and unfortunately, even people here, they got hit by Laura. It was way worse, but let me tell you, this is not enjoyable. This, you know, we've had our winds officially gusting just over 60 miles an hour, but Mike, you've been in enough hurricanes to know this is stronger than 60 miles an hour. That's,
Steph, how I can tell that it is very difficult. I can hear your labored breathing because this is like a workout out there. I'm glad you're in an open exposed area because you certainly don't want to have, you know, stuff hitting you, but be very, very careful out there. We think that you're in this, Steph. I'm looking at that radar. I think you're probably in this for about another 20 minutes or so. If you hang in there for another 20 minutes, I think you're going to be in the clear. And after that, I think the weather's actually going to be pretty decent from that point going forward. But until then, you've got some of the highest reflectivity returns we're seeing on the radar are actually happening on I-10 in Jennings right now.
And what's incredible, Mike, is we have that storm surge also up to 8 feet already on the Louisiana coast with that push. Have you started to see any of those water levels drop being in the eye and as this is moving ashore yet? Have you seen that drop start?
Yes, in Calcasieu Pass, yes, we've seen that come down. Now, I would say over at Canal Locks, that's actually gone up to record now, actually surpassing what happened with Hurricane Ike. They've gone past 10.2 feet now, so that's more on the eastern side where you got the eastern eye wall that came through. So record-setting surges and significant wind right now as the hurricane comes in.
The Lab brought to you by State Farm. When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Wish you were here to see how bright the human spirit can shine. To see that no matter what nature does, people will do more. With one of the industry's largest catastrophe response teams, State Farm will always be among the first to arrive and the last to leave. To help show that human nature is greater than nature. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Introducing Tostito Strips, the thickest chip yet.
And creamy avocado salsa, made with real avocados.
They're good apart,
but better together.
Hey, Martha, pass me some of that green stuff.
The ups and downs of frequent mood swings can take you to deep depressive lows, or give you unusually high energy even when depressed. Overwhelmed by bipolar 1? Ask about Vraylar. Some medicines only treat the lows or highs. Vraylar effectively treats depression, acute manic, and mixed episodes of bipolar 1 in adults. Full spectrum relief for all bipolar 1 symptoms with just one pill once a day. Elderly patients with dementia-related psychosis have an increased risk of death or stroke. Call your doctor about unusual changes in behavior or suicidal thoughts. Antidepressants can increase these in children and young adults. Report fever, stiff muscles, or confusion, which may mean a life-threatening reaction, or uncontrollable muscle movements, which may be permanent. Side effects may not appear for several weeks. High cholesterol and weight gain, high blood sugar, which can lead to coma or death, may occur. Movement dysfunction, sleepiness, and stomach issues are common side effects. When bipolar 1 overwhelms, Vraylar helps smooth the ups and downs.
Lactate is 100% real milk, just without the lactose, so you can enjoy it even if you're sensitive. Yet some people say lactate isn't real milk. I guess all those cows must actually be big dogs. Sit. I said sit.
Domino's knows delivery, so when we asked our team members how to make carry-out more convenient, they had thoughts.
Frisbee.
That's a thought.
Deliver it.
Even better. Introducing Domino's Carside Delivery. Just pull up, check in online, and we bring your food to you. It's carry-out delivered.
1 in 2 kids is underhydrated. All new plant-powered Creative Roots gives kids the hydration they need with the fruit flavors they love and 1 gram of sugar. Find new Creative Roots in the kids' juice aisle.
If you have risk factors like heart disease, diabetes, and raised triglycerides, Visipa can give you something to celebrate. Visipa, when added to your statin, is clinically proven to provide 25% lower risk from heart attack and stroke. Visipa is clearly different. First and only FDA approved. Celebrate less risk, even for those with family history. Don't take Visipa if you are or become allergic to icosapent ethyl or any inactive ingredient in Visipa. Serious side effects may occur, like heart rhythm problems and bleeding. Heart rhythm problems may occur in more people with persistent cardiovascular risk or who have had them in the past. Tell your doctor if you experience an irregular heartbeat or other heart rhythm problems. Possible side effects include muscle and joint pain. Celebrate less risk. Add in cardio protection. Talk to your doctor about adding protection with Visipa.
The first ingredient in this Cliff Bar is brown rice syrup, which is another name for sugar. In this Kind Bar, it's heart-healthy almonds with the taste of dark chocolate and 75% less sugar than the leading Cliff Bar. Be kind to yourself.
It's almost unbelievable. This is real.
When your cameras roll,
this is something nobody can imagine.
Our experts react.
What do you do? Oh my gosh.
Jaw-dropping.
Nope, 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 all the way back home.
It doesn't get better than this.
Don't miss all new episodes of Weather Gone Viral, Sunday nights at 9, here on the Weather Channel. Get your daily dose of everything weather.
Wow! Boy, do we have a lot to talk about.
Weather Today from the Weather Channel. New episodes every day, only on Quibi.
We are tracking Hurricane Delta for you tonight, officially making landfall near Creole, Louisiana, about half an hour ago. And that is a live look at what's happening for us right now as Lake Charles is being hit pretty hard right now. Winds have been gusting as high as 95 miles an hour in Lake Charles, and you can see just how angry the water is right now. We've had significant wind, and we've had some surge that's been record-setting along the coastline of Louisiana. I want to take you to Lake Arthur. This is just south of I-10, just south of Jennings, Louisiana, and show you what's happening there, because we've had pretty significant wind that's come in there. But now the weather's going to start to get a little calmer. That's a look at Jennings, by the way, as the extreme winds that have come in are knocking down power lines at this point. Please do not drive boy, this is a car here. It's just dangerous being there, because you can see the power lines that are down even over the roadway. So please just find another route in these kind of situations. Then we take you to Kaplan, Louisiana, and you can see a mobile home there, I believe, has been knocked over. And it really only takes about a 70-mile-an-hour wind to do that, and the winds have been gusting higher than that. So you are not safe in a mobile home at all, and you're not even safe in a home that's not elevated at this point. And there's a shot of what the roads are looking like in Lake Charles for us tonight. Again, plenty of water on the roads. Watch for the hydroplaning. Be careful. Watch your speed. If you don't have to be out this evening, don't. The weather's going to improve for you here pretty quickly as soon as we get into the eye, and then the storm moves pretty quickly off to the north, and you're out of this in the next couple of hours. So let's get into Lake Charles tonight with Justin Michaels. Justin, things have been rocking and rolling here the last couple of hours. I'm hopeful here that your weather improves pretty quickly, maybe in the next half an hour or so.
Well, I do know we just got another rainfall record coming in. 8.53 inches of rain has fallen so far today here in Lake Charles, Louisiana. That broke a record several hours ago. The numbers are just going to continue to tick up. You said, Mike, 95-mile-per-hour gusts about 20 minutes ago. Let's hope you're right that in the next half an hour we could see a little bit of a decline, but we do know we're on the western side of this storm. And if you just think about it, go back to basic geometry, if this thing is moving to the northeast and we're on the western side of it, we've got the whole back western side, southwestern side of it southwestern side of it to go through. So as you can see, very gusty, very dangerous. Being out right now is the absolute worst scenario. Driving around should not be an option. This is not the time, folks, to go out and try to say, hey, what's it like to be in a hurricane? I can tell you, for our safety, I am about 20 feet from getting inside the building into our hotel. Our hotel is powerless right now. Generator is operating the entire building at this point, and we have to believe if this hotel is out of power, most, if not all, of Lake Charles has got to be out of power. Across the state of Louisiana, we have about 81,000 customers and growing out of power right now. We know that number is going to go up. This is certainly Delta, insult to injury. These people were dealing with the cleanup after Laura 6 weeks ago, and now you have to believe, at least for many people, were all the efforts and all the progress made over 6 weeks, was it all washed away with Hurricane Delta? Probably was, because many people still had blue tarp roofs, they still had infrastructure that was broken, people doing everything they could to come back, and you bring Delta on shore with 95-mile-per-hour gusts and more than 8.5 inches of rain over the course of this storm and counting, and you've got more problems. So, will they be worse off after this than even after Laura? That's definitely a possibility. I know that our team, after the storm goes away, we're going to be working through the streets of Lake Charles, Louisiana, and this part of Louisiana, trying to bring those stories of people trying to recover again. 6 weeks and counting since Laura came through, and now we have Delta adding insult to injury. Definitely a tough go for a lot of people here. As far as where I'm standing right now, before we lose the luxury of having a little daylight, you can see this body of water back here. This is the Calcasieu River, okay? And this is being fed by the actual Lake Charles, which is not far from where I'm standing right now, the actual lake. You can't see it. There's no possible way of seeing it. And in fact, we can barely see the water back there except out to that, that channel marker. But I'll tell you what, conditions here are going to be pretty bad for a little while longer. Again, can't stress enough. This is not the time to be going out. Stay inside, keep yourselves safe, and remember, this city had so much debris left over after Hurricane Laura went through here 6 weeks ago, and much of it still has not been cleaned up. Meaning when you get those 95-mile-per-hour gusts, and it doesn't even need to be 95 miles per hour, it can be 50 or 60 miles per hour to pick up those pieces of corrugated metal and also wood and all sorts of other projectiles. You don't want to get hit by one because that is deadly. The Weather Channel is going to continue to track Delta as it pushes off to the northeast, and of course, we'll be here in Lake Charles for you throughout the evening. Stay tuned, folks.
1 in 2 kids is underhydrated. All new plant-powered Creative Roots gives kids the hydration they need with the fruit flavors they love and 1 gram of sugar. Find new Creative Roots in the kids' juice aisle.
Everyone remembers the moment they heard, "You have cancer," how their world stopped, and when they found a way to face it. For some, this is where their Keytruda story begins. Keytruda, a breakthrough immunotherapy that may treat certain cancers. One of those cancers is advanced non-squamous non-small cell lung cancer, where Keytruda is approved to be used with certain chemotherapies as your first treatment if you do not have an abnormal EGFR or ALK gene.
Keytruda helps your immune system fight cancer, but can also cause your immune system to attack healthy parts of your body. This can happen during or after treatment and may be severe and lead to death. See your doctor right away if you have new or worse cough, chest pain, shortness of breath, diarrhea, severe stomach pain or tenderness, nausea or vomiting, rapid heartbeat, increased hunger or thirst, constipation, dizziness or fainting, changes in urine or eyesight, muscle pain or weakness, joint pain, confusion or memory problems, fever, rash, itching, or flushing. These are not all the possible side effects. Tell your doctor about all your medical conditions, including immune system problems, or if you've had an organ transplant, had or plan to have a stem cell transplant, or have lung, breathing, or liver problems.
Today, Keytruda is FDA approved to treat 16 types of advanced cancer and is being studied in hundreds of clinical trials, exploring ways to treat even more types of cancer. It's true. Keytruda from Merck. See the different types of cancer Keytruda is approved to treat at Keytruda.com and ask your doctor if Keytruda can be part of your story.
Look, Limu! Someone out there needs help customizing their car insurance with Liberty Mutual, so they only pay for what they need. False alarm. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Need a nice reward today? Treat yourself to a Heath bar, because nothing says special like rich English toffee. Heath, it's English toffee.
Hi, Sabrina.
Hi, Jen.
Hi, so you're the scientist here. Does my Aveeno Daily Moisturizer really make my dry skin healthier in one day?
It's true, Jen.
Really?
This prebiotic oat formula moisturizes to help prevent dry skin.
Impressive. Aveeno, healthy. It's our nature. You put care into everything you do. United Healthcare does too. Like connecting you to care whenever you need it. Because like you, United Healthcare knows what care can do.
Every morning at 4:30, you hear the cooks hop on the floor. It's hard times in the mill, my love, hard times in the mill. Every morning right at 6, don't that old bell make you sick? Hard times in the mill, my love, hard times.
Our focus is raising the girls.
Being able to order stuff online.
It helps out a lot.
We get to use that time that we would be at the grocery store. That time is priceless.
Yeah, Yeah, back at Breaux Bridge, Louisiana here as we continue to move Delta onshore farther. Still a lot of wind with this thing. Incredible amounts of wind energy existing. Just had a power flash here. The power went out and it came back on, and the streetlights went down, and then they just came back on and through here. So we'll see some of these stronger winds starting to mix down even farther to the northeast. But off to the southwest, that eye wall part that's collapsing in the Jennings area, Lake Arthur, and even back into Lake Charles now. Talk about insult to injury. 95-mile-per-hour winds there. Just a horrible situation. And I was just talking to my buddy Forrest Masters, who's a meteorologist at the University of Florida. He said, Jim, there is still 90-mile-an-hour wind gusts behind the rain. Okay, so even as the precipitation comes off the radar, keep in mind we still have a nice rear inflow jet almost coming into this thing that's going to gust up to about 90 miles per hour. So don't think that we're done even though the precip starts to shut off. Got a long night ahead of us. From last count, 200,000 customers without power. That's Texas and Louisiana. Of course, most of them in Louisiana. We've had a lot of issues, guys, especially with storm surge down in Vermilion Bay and Abbeville. We've gotten, top there, fresh water, almost 8 feet. All right, so that 7 to 11 feet is absolutely verified, and they're still having problems. There are waves literally rolling through the city. But in terms of, being able to stand up and certainly seeing things blown over, we don't have any of that kind of damage here in Breaux Bridge. All right, I want to get into Steph, because, Steph, it's kind of interesting. You're hopefully going to get out of some of that heavy rain, but you may not get out of the wind. You may not get out of the wind.
Right. Well, as we've been talking about, this is not a well-defined eye, right? It's starting to get torn apart. So you might still see some of that wind, even though the rain was ending, as you were mentioning. And Jim, I really want to hammer home the point. For those of you who have been watching me over the last couple of hours, this is a Category 2. And this is why we try to warn you and tell you to prepare, even for a Cat 2, a Cat 1. It doesn't have to be a major hurricane. If you're in the eye wall of even a Category 1, you will get damage. And so try to remember, this is a Category 2. Next time you see a hurricane coming, that you should prepare. Now, I will say, I think the winds have died down a little bit. It is still raining, but I do think the winds have calmed down. As we're getting closer and closer to that eye, the winds will continue to calm down. I have an anemometer reading too. I've been watching because that pressure will be dropping. Of course, it made landfall in Creole, Louisiana, which is to our south, right there along the coast. And we will start to see our pressure drop. Yeah, we're down to 981.4 millibars. Why is that significant? That is significant because when I started this show at 5 o'clock Eastern time, I took a reading here and I was at 991. My pressure has dropped 10 millibars. So that to me is an indication we are now gusting to 81 miles an hour. So we are definitely getting closer to that center of circulation by the fact that our pressure is dropping. And as you see, we still have those gusty winds. We're not finished with it. We are not finished with it. It's going to take several more hours for this to push through, continue to wind down. The good news is the backside of this system, I don't know if you can hear that. It's, now that it's getting dark, it brings in a lot more anxiety because you hear things and you're not quite sure where it's coming from, the direction. This, I think, was just the wind howling down the street. But Paul Goodlow, he's at our hotel. He's been here live as well. He told us that the wind was howling through the hotel. You could feel the hotel swaying, and there's actually some water into our hotel. So if there's water into our hotel, I'm assuming some of the homes perhaps have some water in them as well. Of course, this area was hit by Laura, a month and a half ago, and there are some houses that have blue tarps on them. There were debris piles around, so they were recovering from Laura. Of course, nothing like they dealt with in Lake Charles. Shockingly, as you can see behind me, the lights on here at this bank behind me, power has not gone out, at least on the street that we are on. So it's pretty much a miracle, if you ask me, that we still actually have power here. We do have 200,000 customers. Remember, when we give you the power update, that's for one structure that the power is going to. So if you have a house of 4 or 6 people, you can multiply the amount of people without power is much higher than that. And as this storm goes inland, we could see power outages due to the fact that even if it doesn't have as strong of winds, you don't need a lot when the ground is saturated and you get a 30-mile-an-hour wind gust even. You don't need a 60, 90, 80-mile-an-hour wind gust. you can get a tree to come down when you have your winds at 35 miles an hour and slice right through a home. And so this is why we always want you to be on guard, not only at the coast, but also inland as this hurricane continues to move north, and it will continue to do that into the overnight hours. This is now the fourth hurricane to make landfall here in Louisiana, and that ties the record from 2002, when we also had four, I should say named storms, not hurricanes in particular, but tropical storms and hurricanes. We tied the record from 2002. There are some of those gusts that are still happening, and I will just continue to check. My anemometer dropping again, now to 979.7 millibars. So we are nearing that eye. I hope you stay tuned to see us after we've gotten beaten up by the winds of Delta. The first time we've had a Greek named storm, a hurricane I should say, make landfall. Beta was a tropical storm when it made landfall. This is our first hurricane as a Greek named storm. We will get into the eye. The question is, how dirty will the eye be? What does it mean to have a dirty eye, and how does the eye affect you? I'm gonna have the answer to all of those questions coming up after we take a quick breather here. We'll come back and talk more about the technicalities of a hurricane's eye.
Your grandma will probably know me. It's a moment when I show up, God, I'm saying wow.
New Doritos Flamin' Hot Limon.
With one of the industry's largest catastrophe response teams, State Farm will always be among the first to arrive and the last to leave, to help show that human nature is greater than nature. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Our focus is raising the girls.
Being able to order stuff online,
it helps out a lot.
We get to use that time that we would be at the grocery store. That time is priceless.
Only Dish has the Hopper, TV's most powerful DVR.
Look who's here.
It holds up to 2,000 hours of your favorite shows.
You waited. I got all the seasons.
For as long as you need them. Dish, tuned in to you.
A woman who was young, had COVID-19. I remember her because she had a bracelet that had the names of her children. She asked me, "Doctor, am I going to be okay?" And I could not give her the answer that I wanted to give her. There's no excuse for why we don't have this under control at this point. Joe Biden listens to medical experts. He actually has a plan that does the things that we should have been doing many months ago. And Joe Biden is not going to let his ego get in the way of fighting the disease.
FFPAC's responsible for the content of this ad.
It's oh so quiet and so peaceful too. You fall in love, sing boom, you shout and you yell, ha ha. You blow, when you're falling in love.
The world's changing, and we're changing with it. At FastShipFaceMask.com, our soft and plush, reusable double-layer face masks come in fun colors and styles, starting at $6.99. With our famous 5-minute checkout and next-day shipping, you can have your masks fast, help slow the spread, and protect your community. Feel the difference and be the difference at FastShipFaceMask.com.
Jim and Joanne are here to pick up the same prescription. They both know the system is not on their side. They both know drug costs are out of control. But one of them is taking back control with GoodRx.
Next.
So while he's paying that much, even with his insurance, she's paying this much just by using GoodRx. Use GoodRx to compare prices at pharmacies in your area and stop paying too much for your prescriptions. Download the free app today and take back control.
It's almost unbelievable this is real.
When your cameras roll,
this is something nobody can imagine.
Our experts react.
What do you do? Oh my gosh. Jaw-dropping. Nope, 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 all the way back home.
It doesn't get better than this.
Don't miss all new episodes of Weather Gone Viral, Sunday nights at 9, here on the Weather Channel. Get your daily dose of everything weather.
Wow! Boy, do we have a lot to talk about.
Weather Today from the Weather Channel. New episodes every day, only on Quibi.
let's talk about some of the gustiest winds that we have seen so far out of Hurricane Delta, right where we are located. We've been in the eye wall, and we have seen a gust to 81 miles an hour. Lake Arthur, just down the road, 11 miles, gusting to 95 miles an hour. Lake Charles, Lake Charles gusting to 95, Lake Arthur gusting to 96 miles an hour. That's the highest actual observation we've been able to get so far. Now, as you can see, the winds are getting better. They're still gusty. We're not finished with this yet. We're not in the eye just yet, but they are getting better. Now, as we go into that eye, our winds are going to calm because of how a hurricane, the structure of how a hurricane works. What happens is that pressure drops as you go into the eye of the storm. You have the lowest pressure at the center. Of course, that center coming over Creole, Louisiana, not too long ago. Now, I started off the show at 5 o'clock Eastern time. My pressure was 991. My pressure reading now is 979.6. It's jumping around 979.6, 979.7. The central pressure, the lowest pressure right now, is 970. So this is an indication for me that we are getting close to that center. We're obviously not in it yet, but the eye is where we have the calm. Now, before the break, I was talking about a dirty eye. What does that mean? What does that mean for you? Well, when you have a very powerful hurricane, it is so strong that in the eye, and you are able to look up and see the stars. I've witnessed it. I can vouch for it. It literally does happen. It's the weirdest thing. You go through some of the worst weather you've ever experienced in your life, and then all of a sudden it's calm. You hear the frogs, birds come out, and you can see stars when you have a very strong, well-defined hurricane. This one has been falling apart as it's coming ashore. So the shear has been stretching out the eye. It's not as circular as, a super well-defined storm, but we still have it. So once we go into that eye, it's going to be what meteorologists sometimes call a dirty eye, meaning we'll have that calm, that pressure will still drop, and it is still an eye, but we probably won't be able to see any stars. It'll probably just still be cloud cover. Now, that doesn't mean it doesn't classify as a hurricane. It doesn't mean anything. Just some eyes are more clear than others. What does that mean for you? Well, it means that you've gotten through that northern eye wall, or perhaps the western eye wall, because this thing is stretching out. We were talking about that earlier with Bettis. Lake Charles, where Tevin is, and Jim Cantori and Bro Bridge off to my east and Tevin off to my west, the three of us could get in this eye because it's getting pulled out, pulled apart. And there are times when you get into the eye, it's not perfectly calm. Again, that would classify as a dirty eye because it's not clean, seeing straight up to the stars. So what this means for you at home is that things will improve, but then we have to get through the backside of the storm. Because this storm is falling apart as it's coming ashore, we don't have a super strong back eye wall, but you will still feel it. It will still be windy. You can still lose power. A lot of times what happens is things really get weakened with that first eye wall, and then even if that second eye wall isn't super strong, you can still see things get blown around. You can still see your power go out and whatnot. Let's talk about power outages, because we're talking 200,000 customers without power in both Texas and Louisiana, and I anticipate power outages as this goes inland and knocks down trees on power lines or just takes down those power lines. Let's go to Lake Charles, who we were just getting back on our feet, Justin, after Hurricane Laura. Yeah. And I've heard that there are sporadic power outages around Lake Charles yet again when they've worked so hard to get it up and running.
From what I can tell right now, about 40,000 customers here, Stephanie, in Calcasieu Parish are without power. In the entire state of Louisiana, we have, and there's a leaf, 167,000 customers without power. The vast majority of customers with this storm without power are right here in Louisiana, especially the southwestern side of Louisiana, as this storm continues to roll through. I'll tell you what, Delta is really dealing a blow to Lake Charles, Louisiana, and the reason is because they were already so badly hit just 6 weeks ago with Laura coming through here and really laying waste to the entire city. Now, to give you some numbers we're talking about here in Lake Charles, we've already had a 95-mile-per-hour wind gust not all that long ago, about an hour ago, and so far today, more than 8.5 inches of rain. The rain is expected to last several more hours. These intense gusty winds are hopefully going to start to die off over the next few hours, but that's no time to let your guard down. We still have hours, Mike Bettis, of rain and winds to deal with, and it really isn't going to be till tomorrow morning, Mike, that people should even consider leaving their safe spots, leaving their homes, and going to assess damage, because now we're getting tonight. Power lines are going to be down, trees are going to be down, debris is going to be everywhere, Mike, and we already know that roads, not just highways, but roads, secondary roads are being closed. The dangers are real, Mike Bettis, and Lake Charles is going to have a lot more cleanup after Delta. Into you.
For real. We'll do it tomorrow. Don't worry about it today. Newest advisory has come in from the Hurricane Center. We now have a Category 1. Winds have been downgraded to 90 miles per hour. Landfall happening roughly an hour ago.
1 in 2 kids is underhydrated. All new plant-powered Creative Roots gives kids the hydration they need with the fruit flavors they love and 1 gram of sugar. Find new Creative Roots in the kids' juice aisle.
Did you know you can go to libertymutual.com to customize your car insurance so you only pay for what you need?
Really? I had to... Okay, I'm on vibrate.
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Donald Trump is lying again. Joe Biden will not raise taxes on anyone making under $400,000. Biden will close tax loopholes for big corporations. Trump's tax cut giveaway exploded our debt, so he's threatening Social Security and Medicare. Biden will make the wealthy and big corporations pay their fair share, so we can protect Social Security and Medicare and invest in schools and health care.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Power outages can be unpredictable, inconvenient, and disruptive to your life, posing a real threat to your comfort and safety. When the power goes out, you have no lights, no refrigeration, no heating or air conditioning. Your well or sump pump won't work. Your modern daily electronics are rendered useless. And what if the power's out for days or weeks? Are you prepared? You can be with a Generac home standby generator.
24 days we were without power. I had water, I had ice, I had coffee, I had air conditioner. I was able to stay here because of Generac.
When an outage occurs, your Generac home standby generator automatically powers up, so your life goes on without disruption. You and your family are comfortable, safe, and secure. Generac generators run on your home's existing natural gas or propane. And Generac's standard Mobile Link remote monitoring system keeps you posted on operating status, maintenance updates, and more. Generac generators are designed, engineered, and purpose-built in the USA. Generac is the #1 manufacturer of home standby generators in the world. 8 out of 10 home generators are Generac, with thousands of satisfied customers.
Very good product, very, very good reviews from everybody.
Prices start at just $19.99, and special financing is available with surprisingly affordable monthly payments. Call now to schedule your free in-home assessment with one of Generac's 6,000 nationwide dealers. The call is free, the assessment is free, and there's no obligation to buy. Plus, if you act now, you'll receive a 7-year extended warranty absolutely free. That's a $695 value. Call now, so the next time there's a power outage, your home powers up. Power your life with Generac. Call or go online to schedule your free in-home assessment today.
We just got our latest update from the Hurricane Center, the 8 a.m. intermediate update, bringing this down to a Category 1, 90-mile-an-hour winds. We will get another full update from the Hurricane Center at 11 p.m. this evening. And I want to bring in Mike Bettis to talk about this pressure reading. 970, Mike, the center of this storm, the lowest pressure. I have 978 jumping around 0.9, 0.8. 979. We're jumping right around 979 and 978.8-ish. But what's interesting about this eye is it's not like we have this super well-defined eye right in the center that pressure is going to drop. It's getting spread out. So I think that is going to make a difference in those pressure readings. Again, just a technicality when we're talking meteorology. For those of you at home that aren't as interested in those numbers, Mike, it's not going to make a difference.
No, it really is, and I think from this point going forward, we're going to start to gradually see the pressures come up. That means a weakening system. We're going to see the winds start to come down. And Steph, I literally think you're just minutes away from literally being in the eye, and I think you'll be in it for a couple of hours then. But all the rain will mostly be gone. You'll get the backside of the storm, the southern eye wall, if you will, but there'll be hardly any precipitation, if zero, but you'll have the wind that comes back. So you'll know you're back in the eye wall when the wind starts to crank back up. But I think you might get the pressure, on your handheld there. I think you get pressure drop to maybe 975, 974, something like that, because I think the pressure with the most recent reading from the Hurricane Center is at 971. So I think you'll probably get pretty close to that, with the handheld. We'll see what it eventually comes to. But it's just interesting to see that we've had 4 landfalls now in Louisiana this season, Steph, setting a record for that state, tying it, with 2002. So it's just been a rough year.
It has, and I'm not sure if you can see the anemometer. I just wanted to show the people at home what I was looking at and what we're talking about. And that pressure, as you can see, Mike, is still dropping, 978.3. So now we're on the low end of that. So we will continue to see this drop until we get to the center. As you mentioned, it'll rise up. Let's talk about the distance, Mike, of landfall from Laura to this system and what that distance was. And it's not, we don't see that all the time. We have to go back, what it was, 13 miles, right, was the distance between Hurricane Laura versus this one. You go back to 2004, which, by the way, was a record unprecedented season until 2005 hit, and you had Jeanne and Francis 2 miles apart. Besides that year, I'm trying to think, Mike, back in the 20 years you and I both have been at the Weather Channel practically, I don't think there's been another occurrence.
This close? No. And just such a short time span, Steph, just a matter of 6 weeks between landfalls. It wasn't like you had an early season and a late season or something like that. These poor people in like Lake Charles, Cameron, still recovering from what happened with Laura, which was a Category 4. This is a Category 2, significantly weaker. That was a strengthening storm, a Category 4 at landfall, which did a significant amount of wind damage there, and so a lot of roofs had damage.
So, Mike, let's not just talk about what's happening here, because we want to show everyone what they're going to be dealing with. And as you look at the radar, we know that this was super front-end loaded. Is it still looking like that? And how long do you think we'll continue to see that heavy rain on the north side?
It's going to be the whole thing is going to be north side loaded. You might start to see some more wrap in on the west and southwest side. But what's been really interesting, Stephanie, is that the highest winds by a significant margin have all been on the west side. A place like Port Arthur still gusting to 81 miles an hour. Lake Charles right now gusting to 79 miles an hour. Whereas you go over to, say, Lafayette or Baton Rouge, significantly weaker winds. I think what's happening is you're getting more interaction with an approaching trough on the western and northwestern side, so it's creating maybe a little bit more of a pressure gradient, or even getting a bit of a jet inflow there. So it's just interesting to see how what we typically see as the clean side of the storm is a lot more intense with the winds. Steph, great stuff there. Let's get over to Jim Cantore. He is on more of that eastern side. I know, Jim, now you're getting another band that's coming in there. This might be the last big band before you then get into the eye.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to wait it out. I can't believe Steph's not in it yet, which is kind of incredible. But, Mike, what's really weird is we're still getting gusts down at Lake Arthur, even where, they're kind of rain-free. That's about 80, 90 miles per hour. So even when folks get out of this rain, don't anticipate that things are just going to wind down, because, you're still talking about the potential for wind damage there. This is definitely the worst weather we've had by far. Landfall at 6. Now we're about 7, and this is, the rain that's come in. We just lost power probably about 8 minutes ago here. It flashed earlier on, but that's pretty much it in terms of the power. We've got power from our trucks and our generators that are lighting the shot behind me so you can see what's going on. But clearly, the heaviest rain with this thing thus far continues to come on in. It's, of course, in sheets just rolling across the roads. It's earlier on, a lot of people out and about. When we had kind of the breaks in the rain, if you will. Now, not so much. TV crews I see, police, fire, they've come by from time to time. And, of course, now everybody's in the dark, getting the worst of this as we work our way through the night. So, guys, just hunker down. It's going to be several more hours. As Mike said, we may get in the eye. But even on the south side of that, we may not have the rain, but we may have the wind again. We'll see. The whole thing is trying to decouple. There's a lot of wind, Mike, as you know, there's a lot of wind energy with these things. So they don't just go away, all right? And so they have to take a while to wind down, and so you can get these kind of gusts. But you broke my heart, man, when you talked about the 95-mile-an-hour gust at Lake Charles on the west side of the center. That's awful, because all those tarps. We had several reports of 60. We had sustained winds for a while in Lake Charles at 65 miles an hour. I mean, that's just doing a job on those tarps. And really the whole story there, folks, obviously dealing with Laura 43 days ago. not being able to get shingles because of COVID. They just stopped production essentially. So people are waiting on roofs, and some may have chosen to take the inside of their homes and start to do that, waiting on a new roof maybe coming next week or the week after. But now with this wind and the tarps being blown up, I mean, a lot of people are going to start over, and in some cases maybe in a worse off situation than what they started with. So our hearts just going out for so many, thousands really of folks in the Lake Charles area. Some of them still here in Breaux Bridge, some of them in New Orleans, some of them, of course, west in Houston, Beaumont, Port Arthur, just taking refuge. We're over 250,000, by the way, now without power. 250,000 customers without power. A lot of those obviously in Louisiana. We're one of them now, joining just a few minutes ago here in Breaux Bridge. So can't see east, can't see north, can't see south, can't see off to the west. Just a couple of lights on, look like they're from generators, and of course the lights we have that we're powering by the generators that we have on our satellite trucks and our trucks that were operational in through here. So that's what we're looking at here in Breaux Bridge. Lots of heavy rain, rainfall rates certainly the heaviest that we've seen. Stay off the roads, guys. Let it all go through. Let it move through. We'll be out of this certainly the next 3-4 hours or so as the south side comes in. But some of you, again, as this winds down, don't be surprised, Mike, to get some gusts up to 90 miles per hour, even on the dry side of this.
Yeah, I think it's very possible. You know, one thing I'm certainly concerned about, Jim, when I look at how much rain is coming with the north side of this storm, is how many places will have really heavy rain and then potentially even some trees that come down with the gusts that come in, because a lot of these places had 6 to 8 inches of rain, so the soil is just loaded with water right now, and the root systems are weakened. All right, we've looked at Jennings, we've looked at Breaux Bridge. Let's take you to Lake Charles, and our Justin Michaels is there. Justin, describe the conditions you've had here over the last couple of hours and what they're like right now.
Well, I'll tell you what, Mike, we just got an update. 9.07 inches of rain has fallen in Lake Charles, Louisiana, because of now Category 1 Hurricane Delta. That is not good news, because this area was still really laid to waste by Laura just 43 days ago. There were enormous piles of debris all over Lake Charles, Louisiana. We've had 95-mile-per-hour gusts. The most recent was a 79-mile-per-hour gust. And what's that going to do? That's going to pick up that debris and disperse it all over the place. People who decided to go out in this storm, let's hope it was zero. Let's hope people stayed in, the ones who didn't evacuate. But those types of debris can turn into projectiles, which can absolutely be deadly. We're standing here right along the banks of the Calcasieu River, and it looks like we have these two ominous eyes out there in the storm. Delta is looking at us, and you can see, well, what are those? Those are actually wells. Those are oil wells, and they light those on fire. And believe it or not, those are two burning eyes out there in the ethos beyond us and beyond the Calcasieu River. It's kind of eerie if you take a look behind me. But the scarier thing about this is the wind that has come through, the amount of rain that has come through, and the devastation that's being caused, the continued devastation. Jim was talking about the COVID effects here, people not being able to get roofing materials to repair their homes after Laura. That's going to be a huge issue. And I think that's a really good observation by Jim, that are they going to be significantly worse off after Delta here in Lake Charles than they were after Laura, because of how weakened the infrastructure and the homes and things were here after Laura, and not being able to repair as much as they'd like to? It's certainly a probability. We're going to be going out tomorrow to bring you stories from the ground here in Lake Charles, Louisiana, as people will undoubtedly decide to come back. And we do know tens of thousands of people evacuated yesterday. Many people sitting in 8-10 hours of traffic just to head west, get to Houston, Texas, and get out of Dodge before Delta came, because the number one adjective we heard from people as this storm was approaching and they were getting that final gear and trying to get out of here was that they were scared. Laura scared them, and they didn't want to see what Delta had in store. They were scared enough to leave their homes and get out of here. So they're going to be coming back, and we're going to be talking to them over the coming days. We do know in Louisiana right now, we're pushing the 200,000 customer mark as far as power outages just in this state. 192,000 customers without power so far. More than 250,000 customers between Louisiana and Texas without power. And those numbers, every time I check, go up by tens of thousands every single time I check. It's going to be a tough go, and in fact, we just lost light, the entire hotel, and our lights are without power. I'm sorry, you can't see me right now. Here they come back. And what happened right there was the generator for the hotel just kicked in. So power outages are a major problem here. Let's go right now to Jennings, Louisiana. That's where Stephanie Abrams is. I'll tell you what, Steph, the winds are whipping, the rain is continuing to come down, and even though we're on the western side of this thing, Delta has been a fierce, fierce storm in Lake Charles. Steph, to you now.
Yeah, you know, what we're doing is I'm getting into our safe spot because, you know, it's dark and we're hearing things break, and we're not quite sure where it is. Or, oh, there we go. Look at those. The boards came down, Matt. Do you see? Okay. Did it smash the window too? The window's smashed out. I can't tell from my perspective here. I have to walk across the street here. But those, you saw those boards. We were showing you how the windows are broken. Okay, the windows are broken to this business, and it had boards on it. So when we tell you that a Cat 2 does damage and is strong, this is what we're talking about. And those are the boards on the ground, guys. That's scraping. That's the sound we hear. Look at that right there. So we are now out of the worst of the weather, yet we're still seeing some debris get tossed about. And so this is why it is still dangerous. And we want to show you what it looked like during the height of the storm. This is the worst weather we have seen by far. Remember, this is a Category 2, so never let your guard down, even if you have a Category 2 making landfall. So there's some of the damage, and we've been right in the same vicinity all night and all day. You still hear some of that glass. I'm not sure if you can hear it breaking or not, but I don't see any significant structural damage. I don't have any to report at the moment. Now, has there been some, you know, in neighborhood a little bit away from me? It's possible, right? Because this is what we're seeing. And remember, these were boards that were put up. And so it's unlucky that those crashed down, and you can hear the alarm going off. That's the alarm that has been sounding as well. We're getting into the eye, which usually is pretty calm, but again, because this hurricane is not a super well-defined hurricane, the eye is getting sheared apart, it's not going to be that perfect eye and seeing those clear skies. But let's talk about the pressure. I know you've been following along here. Matt, are you able to read this when I hold it up like this? You are. Okay, so I started my shift here at 5 p.m. Eastern time, and I checked my anemometer and it read 991 millibars. And right now we're at 977, and the lowest pressure in the hurricane is 971. So this is a good indication that we are near that center or nearing it. It's pretty interesting to watch this continue to drop. Remember, we were just talking to Bettis, and we were in the 980 range. So it is dropping, it's continuing to do that, but because of all of the shear and its weakening, we still are going to be a little bit breezy in the eye. And in fact, oh, down to 976 here. Jim, this eye is pretty stretched out, and it's going to continue to get stretched out. Do you believe you'll get that eye in Bro Bridge? I have not had a chance to actually check out the radar for a bit.
No, I mean, we're getting what looks like is happening here is we're getting kind of the unraveling. You throw a stone in a pond and you see the wave ripple out from that stone. That's kind of what's happening. So we're seeing that, you know, that kind of an outer band of the eye wall come through Bro Bridge right now. It's knocked out power. And Steph, I don't know if you read this, as long as I still got you, there's been so much stuff, you know, the superlatives of the season, the storm, are just ridiculous. Yeah. But I think, isn't sub 980 a record October low pressure for Louisiana? Did you remember reading anything like that?
I just confirm that. You know.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. We'll have to look it up and get back to our viewers, but we will do that shortly, quickly. Yeah. Yeah.
We'll try and get that back to you guys. But I think something sub 80 is maybe a record low pressure for October in Louisiana. Either way, it's a nasty storm. It's got rain. It's got the wind that Steph went through with that northern eye wall. Well, it was still pretty solid. You know, some of the strongest winds where she was in Jennings and then back on the backside of Lake Charles. Finally a calm in Lake Arthur. So, Steph, there's promise coming your way from the south. All right, so hang in there. Right now, winds whipping through Bro Bridge. We have lost power in through here, and we are now up over 250,000 customers without power, most of these in the state of Louisiana, as Delta, the first hurricane with a Greek name, makes its way into the United States, landfalling right around 6 o'clock local time in Creole, Louisiana. What a year it's been there. Holy smoke.
Domino's knows a thing or two about delivery. So when we saw people were getting tacos and burgers delivered like these, we had to step in. Introducing our new chicken taco and cheeseburger pizzas.
What? Oh my.
Now the best way to get a taco or burger delivered is to get a Domino's pizza.
1 in 2 kids is underhydrated. All new plant-powered Creative Roots gives kids the hydration they need with the fruit flavors they love and 1 gram of sugar. Find new Creative Roots in the kids' juice aisle.
It's so good to see you guys. Han, out here.
Are we on yet? I thought we were doing a Zoom thing.
Confused?
No.
Maybe you just need a Snickers.
Over the last century, we've seen tough times, this country, and this company. But through it all, we've learned we're better when we come together. A family-led business with 260,000 people working together, employing more hourly workers and assembling more vehicles in America than any other automaker. We were built in America. That's why we build for America.
A woman who was young had COVID-19. I remember her because she had a bracelet that had the names of her children. She asked me, "Doctor, am I going to be okay?" And I could not give her the answer that I wanted to give her. There's no excuse for why we don't have this under control at this point. Joe Biden listens to medical experts. He actually has a plan that does the things that we should have been doing many months ago. And Joe Biden is not going to let his ego get in the way of fighting the disease.
FFPAC's responsible for the content of this ad.
And Doug.
You know, Limu, after all these years, it's the ones that got away that haunt me the most. Because you're not like everybody else. That's why Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance. So you only pay for what you need. What? Oh, I said. Oh, this is my floor. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
If you want to show the world the good you do, Cheerios can help to feed the good inside of you. And in the morning, if you think your whole day's a flop, feed the good inside of you, cause it never stops. Cheerios.
If your credit card debt is out of control, if you're in over your head in monthly payments, there's a secret the credit card companies don't want you to know. If you have more than $10,000 in credit card debt, you have the right to let us settle that debt for a fraction of what you owe. That's bad news for the credit card companies, but it's great news for you. We're Credit Associates, and we're offering you free information on how to completely resolve your credit card debt with a monthly payment you can afford. To see how much you could save, call now. 1-800-952-6810. Don't declare bankruptcy. Don't consolidate. Give us 10 minutes and we could save you thousands. After all, we depend on your success and offer a guarantee so there's no risk to call. Credit Associates. Live better, debt-free. Find out how easy it is by calling now. For the secret the credit card companies don't want you to know, call Credit Associates now and see how much money you could save. For free.
Since 1925, we've proved that it doesn't matter where you come from. It matters what you're made of. Modelo, brewed for those with a fighting spirit.
It's almost unbelievable. This is real.
When your cameras roll,
this is something nobody can imagine.
Our experts react.
What are you doing?
Nope, 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 all the way back home.
It doesn't get better than this.
Don't miss all new episodes of Weather Gone Viral, Sunday nights at 9, here on the Weather Channel. Get your daily dose of everything weather.
Wow! Boy, do we have a lot to talk about.
Weather Today from the Weather Channel. New episodes every day, only on Quibi.
The weather has calmed significantly here in Jennings, Louisiana, because we are getting to the center of the circulation. And we've been showing you for the last couple of hours that pressure dropping. The lowest pressure is right at the center of the storm, starting off at 991 millibars if you're just joining us. And now we're down to 976.4. This is the lowest it has been officially. They're at 971. That's the official reading, 971. So we're basically in the center of this thing, and it's not a well-defined center. So I'll take this at 974. The pressure could go a little bit lower, but overall we're there because the eye is really stretched out. And as you can see, we're in what we call a dirty eye. There's still some misting. I don't know if you can see if the camera picks up or not on the misting. And it's still a little bit breezy too. So this is not going to be a perfect eye where you look up, it's still cloudy. I'm trying to see if I can see any stars, but it's totally cloudy. So that's not what this system is, and that's good news because that means it was falling apart, but it was cranking out here, and we're going to show you that video of just how bad it was. Remember, this was a category 2. Our wind gusts here topped out at 81 miles an hour. Lake Charles gusting to 95. Lake Arthur, which is to our south, 96. And here's what's wild. Texas Point, Texas, at the Wildlife Refuge, it has been confirmed a 100-mile-per-hour wind gust. That's the highest we've seen. And it's interesting because a lot of times when you talk about hurricanes, that energy gets wrapped around on the east side of the storm, and that's where you see the worst of the weather. We did see, the water go up in the Louisiana coast up to 8 feet, but it's been on the west side that they've been getting hammered. Let's go to the west side of the storm and check in with Charles Peak, who has been riding this out in Lake Charles, Louisiana. And Charles, how has the last hour or two gone for you guys?
Stephanie, I've been a little surprised being on the west side, but we've had continual strong winds and even some stronger gusts, blowing a lot of the debris around, the sheet metal down the streets. Power went completely out in downtown here about 15 minutes ago, so still a lot of impacts here.
Okay, so let's talk about the rainfall, because there's been a lot of rainfall, and in Lake Charles being on the west side, I would think the flooding that you guys got would be mainly from the rain that has come down.
Yes, Stephanie, most of what I've seen I would classify as flash flooding. This from rainfall in a lot of streets having 1 foot to 2 foot of water on them as I've been getting around.
Okay, so let's talk about the fact that there is a lot of tarps also on the roofs. Have you seen any homes? I know it's dark now, so I might be hard, Charles, but have you seen any homes that have lost their tarps?
Stephanie, throughout even earlier this afternoon, you started having many of the tarps being ripped off, businesses having them come off. Saw a bunch of piles of what looked to be the foam siding that you would put on the side of a building, and all those were being blown over and into the road, and additional sheet metal, additional damage on the roads, poles coming down, power poles, power lines down. So they've had more additional damage here with this storm, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's unfortunate too. Have you heard of any injuries or anyone needing to get rescued? Have you seen any emergency management out?
Now, Stephanie, for probably the last 3 hours, I've probably run across maybe 2 or 3 vehicles. Fortunately, nobody's out. I've not seen a single law enforcement or first responder out, so that's been good. Everybody's off the road.
That is good news, Charles. Thanks for that report, and we'll check back in with you as well. We might want to go to Jim, and Jim, you know, I'm just getting a nice little gust right here. This eye, as we were talking about earlier, is a dirty eye, right? It's not a perfectly formed eye, but Jim, I don't know if you've been watching the pressure, if you have an anemometer with you. We're down to 975.8, so we're still dropping here in the center of circulation, which is elongated and getting ripped apart, and we're getting some upper level energy in it as well. So it's not this perfect scenario that we're used to. It's much more complicated with this system.
Yeah, I got to be honest with you, that's another little surprise. Besides the west wind being so strong on this, getting the strongest winds on the west side of this thing, that surprised me. Really, get these kind of wind gusts. You hate to see that, that's for sure, because you know there's an issue somewhere. But we probably had 60-mile-per-hour gusts roll through here in Bro Bridge, but it doesn't take much to cause the power to go out, and certainly a couple trees. You can smell it. You can smell limbs that are down through here. It's kind of amazing, too, Steph, that you're seeing the pressure still going down. You would think, you know, obviously as the storm comes in, it starts to fill a little bit. It's not happening as quickly as what we might think. Perhaps an explanation or part of the explanation as to why even in the dry side of this, we're getting wind gusts that are still as high, let's say down in Cameron and Vermilion Parish, still getting some 80s and 90s. So the moral of the story here for you, Stephanie, is maybe we'll see the winds pick up again, this time from a southwest flank coming into you. So we'll see. Either way, we're up without power here in Bro Bridge. Mike Sedell says we haven't even gusted yet over 50 miles per hour at the airport in Lafayette, which is on the southeast side of the city. So, you know, that's, you know, big difference, obviously, in where you are in relation to that eye wall, which is, you know, continuing to collapse as it moves north. But there's a lot of wind energy with this. And now it's interacting with the mid-latitude jet that we get in fall. So, again, expect a lot more wind than what you might think. It's pretty low pressure, all right, coming ashore at 970 millibars. We'll be right back.
The first ingredient of the bar is brown rice syrup. Is another name for heart-healthy humans with a taste of dark chocolate and 75% sugar than the leading Clip Bar. Be kind to yourself.
With one of the industry's largest catastrophe response teams, State Farm will always be among the first to arrive and the last to leave, to help show that human nature is greater than nature. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Look at that scuffed up wall. Embarrassing you. That wall is your Everest, but not anymore. Today, let's paint. Bear, exclusively at the Home Depot.
We believe in good we can all afford. From make-believe made for everyone, to a t-shirt that means the world.
This movie is really about people coming together, how you never really know what's around the corner.
You don't see how the two families are going to connect. And in the end, it's a total curveball.
Too hard. PG-13.
Where can a healthier heart lead you? For people with heart failure taking Entresto, it may lead to a world of possibilities. Entresto is a heart failure medicine prescribed by most cardiologists. It was proven superior at helping people stay alive and out of the hospital. Heart failure can change the structure of your heart, so it may not work as well. Entresto helps improve your heart's ability to pump blood to the body. And with a healthier heart, there's no telling where life may take you. Don't take Entresto if pregnant. It can cause harm or death to an unborn baby. Don't take Entresto with an ACE inhibitor or allospirin, or if you've had angioedema with an ACE or ARB. The most serious side effects are angioedema, low blood pressure, kidney problems, or high blood potassium. Ask your doctor about Entresto for heart failure. And trust your heart to Entresto.
I'm not hungry! You're having one more bite! No! One more bite!
For the win-win.
In today's market, deciding the right move is easier with the right advice.
A personal financial advisor who understands you and the markets can help you make decisions today to reach your goals tomorrow. Ameriprise Financial.
You're watching America's most trusted TV news network.
We've got a severe weather threat.
Winds have been gusting the full force of this thing.
The Weather Channel.
Antarctic coverage of Delta coming ashore 6 o'clock Central Time. First hurricane to make landfall with a Greek name, with the alphabet of the United States. Pretty amazing season it's been, and it's not over. You remember the whole season goes till November 30th, so it ain't done till it's done, right? So you're looking at live pictures from Charles Peak, who is in Lake Charles. And if you're just joining us, we've been talking about how the storm coming ashore near Creole, but we had so much wind on the west side of this. All right, Texas City, 100 miles an hour at the Texas Wildlife Refuge there. 85 at Lake Charles. Worst case scenario, they had a couple of times where their winds were sustained over 60 miles per hour. And just imagine what that's doing to the thousands and thousands, or I should say what it's done to the thousands and thousands of tarps that are on people's roofs over there. So just a horrible, horrible situation. Charles mentioned he is seeing new power lines down. He is seeing new wires down and even new damage to report in the Lake Charles area. So certainly that may be the calling card of this. But Mike Bennis, let's talk about this. Speaking of Laura and the damage that caused, a similar storm surge as we kind of look at this time lapse of Vermilion Bay near Abbeville. Getting up to 8 feet.
Yeah, pretty interesting. We got record-setting surge that's happened for us here, actually eclipsing Ike. Now, Ike was a little bit different storm, hitting a little bit farther to the west over in Texas, but still, when you look at this water come up and you see it come and inundate the buildings here, then you also see the wave action that happens on top of that. But I think just the angle that it came in, the location, Jim, and really being right in the right front quadrant, I mean the exact spot to maximize the surge, and this is what you get.
Well, you remember when this thing was a 3 and a 4, so it was pushing all that water up. We saw the buoy this morning, 42002, have a wave height of 33 feet. So, again, that water doesn't go away certainly as quickly as some of these other things.
No.
And you saw the result of a pretty high water rise there.
What I'd say what is super interesting about this, Jim, is it didn't even happen at high tide. Imagine if this had happened at high tide, which happens later on tonight, it'd have been even higher. Now I think we're going to start to see it back off a little bit as the storm comes ashore here, but it was pretty impressive to see, and now we've got a record setter in Louisiana.
Well, I got to tell you, Mike, this is kind of interesting. We're behind this thing with no precip now, but we're seeing so much leaf debris blowing around right now. I mean, there was some pretty good gusts when that little piece of the eye wall came through here. It's what pretty much kicked out the power. We don't have any rain. We are completely rain-free. A couple of drops here and there, but the wind is still kicking up, and you can smell, the timber. You can smell probably pine that's gone down here. And, just to remind everybody that we had historic timber damage to the state of Louisiana from Laura. And this is going to add to that. It's going to lay down the sugarcane. And I was talking to a sugarcane farmer earlier, Mike, and how he was telling me, how it's different from corn. The sugarcane will lay down in storms like this, but you can actually bring it back up and keep harvesting it. When the corn lays down, it's done. It's done.
Yeah.
So
it snaps.
A little bit of good news there.
I'm going to show people, Jim, and stay with me here because I'm going to show the radar because you're going to be really close to the eye. All right. I'm going to circle where Jim is. It's right here outside of Lafayette and Breaux Bridge. But I'm also going to kind of outline about where the eye is. It's about right there, okay? So the movement is going to be off in this direction. So, Jim, you might actually stay in which is just bizarre, you might stay in a dry eye wall or just barely get in to the eastern eye of this thing. It's just really, really close, but it's just an oddball kind of storm tonight.
Yeah, and I mean, we do is on the way of collapsing. I mean, how do you deal with knots of surge, Mike? I mean, that's what this thing got hit with, and that is going to cause big time changes in the structure. But that wind energy, interesting to go through an eye wall with dry weather, but yet still some very, very gusty winds. And I think even when we get on the south side of this, and that's kind of a testament to this, even though the precip ends, we're still going to get some gusty winds out of this. They may not be as bad as the northern eye wall, and certainly what Steph some additional power outages.
Oh, definitely,
All this
Jim.
obviously heading north toward the I-10 corridor.
You know, you think about how much rain we've saturated Louisiana with, anywhere from 6 to 10 inches of rain. So the ground is really soaked right now. Now you're still going to see gusty winds that are over 75 miles an hour. Easily, you're going to bring down some trees. You're going to snap some limbs. You're going to bring down some power lines. So I think we're going to have some power outages that'll extend beyond I-10. Could go maybe as far north as I-20 even.
I think you're right. I think you're right on that. There's a lot of wind energy with this. Hey, Mike, I want to bring in Steph because I want to see how it's changed for her. So we've really kind of spaced everybody out, folks, if you're joining us. I mean, Seidel's to my west in Scott. We've got Lake Charles obviously covered because of the big story there. Steph's about 38 miles to my southwest in Jennings. She got into that northern eye wall and the much higher winds. Steph, I wanted to ask you again because you were talking about your pressure was still coming down. Is that still the case?
So we're down 976, Jim, 0.0, just looking down. I had written down on my notepad 976.2, so it's jumping around 976.2, 976.0. So yes, we have dropped since I last spoke with you, but we're probably going to level out here. I don't know that we're going to see a more significant drop from that. But Jim, I want to also show the viewers behind us. This, let me move out of the way so you can see what's happening. I don't want to block the light. This shop was boarded up. And somehow the wind got under the boards, ripped them off, broke all the glass in there. And you see that these gentlemen are here to board this back up. And so they are going to take care of that so that they don't obviously have anyone go. Things are much calmer here, and our highest gust 81 miles per hour. But in and around Lake Charles, they are experiencing flooding. They've had a gust of 95 miles an hour. Flooding, power is out to over 200,000 customers between Texas and Louisiana. We're going to take a quick break.
Is that net carbs or total? Not enough fiber. Chocolate would be good.
Snacking should be sweet and simple.